As an automotive professional and experienced product marketer of 8 years, you will be shocked to hear me say that I thought I didn't belong in the world of automotive. And it is incredibly true. When I first started, and even some years into my career, I still thought I wasn't worthy of being within the industry. And that was partly because it's very male dominated, it's incredibly fast paced, and I just simply didn't appreciate the level of learning and opportunity the industry could provide to me. So as someone who has to break barriers in the industry, how I even managed to grow in confidence. What I want to cover today is my story of automotive, how I got into it, how I've battled things like imposter syndrome and self-doubt, to creating my own community and announcing my dreams of one day becoming an automotive CEO. How did I get into the world of automotive? My automotive journey happened by accident. I got my degree and then I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I studied to teach and I taught for a year, but it just wasn't for me. So like everybody who's searching for a new job, I applied for hundreds of jobs. I got 50 interviews done. And at the end of it, it rattled down to two options: either selling service space or creating sales enablement for BMW and Mini. Obviously, when I first went into BMW and Mini, I absolutely loved it. And what I will say is that is my favorite job I have ever done in my professional career. I had seen everything from the product launches, such as the BMW i4 or the X2, all the way through to rare cars that came out, the limited editions, and also some of the troubles that happened through COVID. So I was really privileged to see a whole mix of areas of this industry. And I got to write about it, and that was my favorite part, was actually exploring the cars, walking around it, and then being able to write about it for customers across the UK. After I left the world of BMW and Mini, I ended up wanting to push myself further, understand my marketing career, and then I went into the world of EV charging. So I started to understand more of my niche. The industry itself is super diverse in the different areas that you can belong to. So from car manufacturing to after sales to repair to EV charging to logistics to fleet, there are so many options that you can go into in the industry. For me to stay in an industry that I loved, I had to build that confidence, and I had to ensure that I grew as a person no matter what job I went into and who I was speaking to, because at the end of the day, most of them hired me for my experience within the industry. Okay, so I will be honest, imposter syndrome, self-doubt, they hit me really hard. Even as an automotive professional now, with over 8 years of experience, I still get imposter syndrome. It's one of those things that happens when we're trying something new, or we're going into a new job, or we've been given an opportunity. We immediately start this narrative of, are you good enough to do it? Over the last few years, I realized I really am incredibly skilled at product marketing and understanding the industry in general. And this is some of the things that you have to talk to. But someone like me needs to have a voice, needs to be confident, and needs to present their ideas with strength. So the imposter syndrome and the self-doubt definitely kicked in. Some of the ways it actually kicked in was my dream. Now, many of you will know that I want to one day be a CEO of an automotive brand. And for years, I told myself that was never an option. I was just a marketer. When you actually tackle that mindset, it's like, well, okay, sure. You look at history, you see that a lot of the CEOs of automotive brands were engineers or scientists, but many of them were business moguls, marketers, sales directors. And I want to say this, if you're suffering with imposter syndrome, if something's not been done before, doesn't mean you can't do it. You can try it for the first time. So once I harnessed exactly how good I was, and I believed it, and it's not an ego thing, this is not an arrogance thing. I know how good I am because of the results I've seen, because of the way that people recommend my work and recommend me as a person to work with. So finding your voice really in an industry like this is incredibly important, and it does take time. But for me, it's taken 8 years of a diverse industry experience to be able to talk about this confidently and comfortably. Now, I'm also a car content creator, hence you're watching my video right now. And I love things like car reviews, but I also love telling the stories of people in the industry. And I realized that by me being able to express myself online, just as I'm doing now, it gives other people the confidence. And in turn, that's me finding my voice. Now, how do you do it in a professional setting? Well, one of the things that I realized after so many years that I'm very good at is decoding jargon. Now, the industry is rife with jargon. People love an acronym here. And if you hear an acronym in this industry, challenge it, because I guarantee that half the time people will use it but don't know how to explain it. My voice comes often from breaking it down into accessible and inclusive content. So we'll take things like the electric vehicle changes, break them down to actually understand what they mean. I'll take you around a car, and we won't talk about all of the technology. We might talk a little bit about it, but we'll talk more about perhaps some of the design that's been introduced, or how it is designed to make you feel, because that's the most important part of a driving experience and any experience with any automotive brand. It's how that product makes you feel. So that's where I found my voice. If you're looking to find yours, give yourself the time and understand what your strengths are. Another way that you can drive and build confidence in this industry, or any industry really, is to actually get hands-on. Go and see the cars that you love, that you want to talk about. Go and see maybe the EV chargers, the equipment, the infrastructure. There are so many opportunities for you to get hands-on. Real-world experiences really help to shape your confidence, because as you're talking to somebody who is an expert, you are learning, and you don't always have to contribute something technical. It is okay to absorb the information and learn. That's why going to events for me is one of my favorite things to do. Particularly, I love Brooklyn's American Day that they host. They also host like German and Japanese days. I love doing that because I get to focus a lot on some of my favorite cars, which are American classics. You can also go and speak to the owners, find out what their experience is like owning a classic. You can also go to dealerships to walk around the car. Some dealerships hold launch events for when new cars come out. You can absolutely just wander around, look at the cars, touch the cars, sit in the cars, because that's going to give you the feel for what the cars are like. For me then, the important part was actually finding my automotive community. And when I created Belinda Automotive, it was actually because I couldn't quite find the right space for me to absorb car content, but also to understand it. A lot of content creators do a brilliant job of walking you around every detail of the car, but they don't always talk to the experience and the feeling that you get from sitting in the driver's seat or even the passenger seat. You absolutely want to know that it's comfortable and that it has got a good horsepower, but you also want to know that, is it comfortable to drive when my hair is up in a messy bun? If you're a parent, does it actually give you enough safety for your children in the bag? You know, that's the kind of thing that you want to know. You also want to know just how it's going to fit into your life. But not all of us grow up knowing about cars. I didn't. My first experience working with cars was at the age of 22. Other than the fact that I'd started driving by the time I was 17, but I really couldn't care less. At that point in my life, a car got me from A to B. Some of the things that I've learned from my 8 years experience in this industry are actually around the level of inclusivity and accessibility that is required. Now, I've already touched on the fact that authentic car content is really in high demand because we want to know about how the car makes us feel. But from an inclusive and an accessible angle, we need to make sure that people understand what you are talking about. And it may sound so easy, but are we talking too fast, for example? Are people not able to keep up with the content that you've created? Are you using words that are too difficult to understand without somebody having to Google it? We can't say that one car brand is going to make a car for everybody because it won't sell. It will be too complicated and it will have too much competition and it just won't work. But what we do want is to ensure that across all the car brands, they are making a car to meet everybody's needs. So for example, with BMW, often they're going for the more premium customer. We may take Renault or Nissan, who are going more towards that your working middle class kind of customer. You also want to take people that may have additional needs and additional support. So that's where your Motability comes in, where they help to modify the cars to meet that person's needs. This is where we want to be, an inclusive environment that considers everybody. And that means that women are considered as buyers of cars and drivers of cars, which unfortunately right now is often forgotten. And women make up 60 to 80% of car purchases. So that's some of my learning, some of the things that I'm taking forward with the content I'm creating, but also when I do become that CEO one day. As an experienced automotive professional and product marketer, we do need to focus on inclusivity, accessibility, and authenticity. But if you're someone that wants to drive confidence and find your voice, just know that it takes time. It took time for me. It is still taking time. I will never, ever be the ultimate expert on something because there's always something more to learn. If you're somebody who wants to build your confidence more so, and you want some tips that could help you to do that, I created a video last week, which I'll link to down below. But what I will say is that I completely love being in the world of automotive. I don't think I could ever see myself in any other industry without some kind of tie-in to automotive. And actually there's so much to learn, there's so much room to grow, and that's the most exciting thing about this industry. Alongside the technology and the innovation changes, we have got some great challenges that we can absolutely work towards. So if you're someone who wants to build your confidence journey, keep following along. If you're someone who loves authentic, inclusive, and accessible automotive content, I am your girl. And I hope that you subscribe to Belinda Automotive and let me know what you thought of this video.